Okay, this reading is only going to be an experiment. I've never done this before. I have some books that I would like to share with others that I don't think might quite be out there. And this one is about Polly Adler. She was a madam in New York City. She was one of the premier speakeasies of the time. And this is her book. Some of the names of persons and places, the dates of events, and other descriptive details have been altered, and in some cases the persons are composites. But the basic events which make up the story of my life are as they happened. Polly Adler, A House is Not a Home. Grateful acknowledgement is made to Frank Music Corporation for permission to quote a line from their song, I'll Know Copyright 1950 by Frank Losser from Guys and Dolls. Published simultaneously in Canada by Clark, Irwin and Company Limited, Toronto. Copyright 1953 by Polly Adler. Manufactured in the United States of America, all rights reserved, Library Congress, catalog, card number, blah, blah, blah. To my friends, a house is not a home. Who is Polly Adler? Her career has made her name synonymous with sin, the Daily News. During the 25 years I ran a house, it often seemed to me that my time was about equally divided between answering questions and avoiding answering them. Questions and cops, reporters, and prosecuting attorneys kept me constantly on the receiving end of a fusillade of queries which ranged from the routine to the dynamic packed, from the naive to the knowing, from the obscene to the ridiculous. But one question I never was called on to answer, and which, frankly, I never dreamed there would be any need for anybody to ask, is the one which heads this page. Because of my numerous personal appearances in the headlines, to say nothing of even more numerous informal allusions to me in stories, which achieved mass circulation without benefit of newsprint, I just took it for granted that Polly Adler was a household word. So we live and learn. When the publication of this book came up for consideration, one of the first points to be discussed was the question of what my name means to the general public. I would venture, wrote the editorial chief, that 90% of people below the age of 35 never heard of Polly Adler. Never heard of Polly Adler. Those words, why deny it, gave me quite a jolt. After all, the clippings in my stack of scrapbooks do not date back to the days of the horseless carriage. It was in 1945, not 1845, that I closed the doors of New York's most famous bordello. Yet barely 7 years later, it seems that most highly publicized procuress the country, who, it says here, enjoyed a power in politics, with the press and among the best nightclubs that probably never has been matched, already has become the forgotten madam. Now for years I have yearned for the day when, on being introduced to some fellow citizen, the utterance of my name would not inevitably touch off such facial reactions as the corked eyebrow, the dropped jaw, the tightened lip, or, more vexing still, particularly since I am no longer in business, the leer. Indeed, I have firmly believed and frequently stated there was nothing I would welcome so much as obscurity. But while its advantages in private life are inestimable, the switch from notoriety to anonymity takes a bit of getting used to, and to find the waters of oblivion closing over your head on the eve of bringing out a book of memoirs is if nothing else, darned inconvenient. Actually, I have been, and still am, written about quite a lot, in hardcovers as well as newspapers and magazines about my former profession. But because, like Jimmy Walker and Texas Guinan and Peggy Joyce and Scott Fitzgerald, I played a conspicuous role in the comedy melodrama of an already legendary decade, the Golden Twenties. My name first became news during the years of that cockeyed national sleigh ride, which ended in the crash of 1929. Although my career as a madam was by no means ended with prosperity, neither depressions nor wars having a adverse effect on the whorehouse business. Still, in many respects, I was a creation of the times, of an era whose credo was, anything which is economically right is morally right, and my story is inseparable from the story of the 20s. While much has been written about this period in America, the picture will not be complete until all precincts are heard from, and there are aspects of the scene on which I am particularly well qualified to report, perhaps better qualified than anyone now alive. From the parlor of my house I had a backstage, three-way view. I could look into the underworld, the half-world, and the high. What I saw may shock or disgust some readers, but it was there to be seen, and it belongs on the record. And that was the end of chapter 1.